In today's video, I'll be running through a live demonstration showing you exactly how you should be setting up your lead generation campaigns. This includes the correct settings, structure to use alongside some advice around landing pages and expectations. In addition to the full setup process, I'll also share some of the more advanced metrics that I monitor. It does baffle me that these don't get the attention they deserve from other tutorial videos. So with that being said and done, let's jump into the video. Wouldn't believe the number of Google Ads accounts I audit only to find their conversion tracking is either broken or not set up correctly. So I'm going to run a quick little demo on how to just check things are running and working correctly. If you know this is already done on your account, feel free to skip ahead. If not, stick around. So what I want you to do is jump into your Google Ads account. You can see I'm in an account here already. Don't worry, video is still down here. On the home screen, get up to Tools and Settings, Measurement. Under Measurement, you want to see Conversions. Click on that. Wait for it to open up. And you want to have a little scroll through here. So the number one thing that you need to be checking out is that all of these purchase conversions are all firing correctly. As you can see on the right here, recording conversions, recording. I would check some of your sort of minor conversions, things like add to baskets, begin checkout, submit lead forms, and things like that. If you see things like tag inactive here, I want you to just go through, if you've got them set up through Tag Manager, just go through, run it, check that they are actually firing. Again, if you've got sort of no recent conversions here as well, I want you to go through and do exactly the same thing through Tag Manager or through Google Ads itself. If you need help with things like this, I know it can be a little bit complicated sometimes, but in the description below this video, we have a Discord channel. It's completely free. You can join it. You can ask questions. It's usually myself or one of our other coaches that can help people sort of work through problems. But what I want to take away from this part of the video is that all of your conversion actions that you're optimizing towards, the purchases here primarily, which I'd imagine will be what you'll be optimizing mostly to, they are all firing and recording conversions. If they are not, you shouldn't be running any activity whatsoever, and you need to go and get that sorted out as soon as possible. And as I just alluded to, we can't and shouldn't run any campaigns without the proper measurement in place. So if this part is too technical for you, then reach out to a professional, Fiverr, Upwork. There's lots you can find. It is worth paying a little extra money just to ensure this is done right, as at the end of the day, you can't build a house without the correct foundations in place. Next up, we need to approach the different campaign types and more specifically, which ones we should be using and which ones we shouldn't. So for new and existing accounts, I will always recommend that you start off with a search campaign. You pay a higher cost per click, but ultimately that ability to target a high intent audience who are actively seeking your service or product is unparalleled to any other form of targeting across not only Google Ads, but all other platforms. If that statement has offended you, then please give me a better alternative in the comments below. For those of you who aren't sure on how to set up these campaign types from scratch, I'm going to do a very quick demonstration. So now you can see we are in our demo account and we want to build a brand new campaign here. So I'm not going to create any keyword lists or write any ad copy. You should have this done before setting up your campaigns. And if you want to learn about keyword research and ad copywriting, then head over to the 84 Academy channel. We have a bunch of videos covering these topics already. So in order to set up the campaign, you just need to head over to the plus icon up here, or if you are in the overview tab, just hit the new campaign and then hit new campaign again. Obviously we want to, this is a lead generation campaign, so I prefer to select leads. You can go without campaign goal guidance. It'll give you access to more bid strategies and things like that, but leads is fine. Key thing to point out here is that you'll want to just, obviously we've got multiple things set up here, but you'll want to just go with one action. So for this example campaign, I'm going to use the qualified leads conversion action. So try to be concise with it. If it's completing a form on a specific landing page, make sure that that form completion is your conversion point only. Don't give it too many things to optimize towards. Hit continue. And then it'll bring up the sort of campaign types. Obviously, we want to pick search campaign for this and the way you want to reach your goal. So this is essentially saying, by doing what are we going to achieve that goal? So in this instance, we want to drive people to the website, who will then complete a lead form, who will then hopefully go on to make a sale or whatever it may be. You could also select phone calls if phone calls are going to be a priority, or shop visits, app downloads, and lead form submissions. You can also use lead form submissions as well, but you need to have the integrated lead form set up. Again, this is something I would recommend, but you need to just go into your account settings and accept the data sharing agreement between Google before you can actually set this up. So for now, I'm just going to put it as a website, as I think this is what most people will be using. I'll put in our website, 84.academy. Last but not least, you want to name it. So I want to call this, doesn't really matter what you name it, but make sure it just fits with your other campaign types as well. So it's easy when you're pulling third-party reports or reporting, you can tell exactly what it is. So I'm going to call lead generation campaign test. And I want to click continue. And I want to start new. So next up is the bidding. I think for most people, you should be using the smart bidding. So conversions in this case, you can do things like clicks and stuff like that. But personally, I think max clicks is a bit of a waste of time when you can use conversions. And with lead generation, getting one conversion is not a huge ask. So you should be getting conversions right off the bat. Another option is impression share. So you could be looking at sort of like absolute top impression share, 50% of the time with max CPC of this. This is a little bit more advanced, maybe something for larger accounts who want to sort of dominate a particular space. Then sure, I would recommend maybe going with something like that. But for most of you, I would just stick with the conversions. And I wouldn't even set a target CPA. I would set a target CPA lower or later down the line, as this is going to be, for most of you, probably a new account and a new campaign type. So just go straight. This will come as max conversions and then just hit next. Straight off the bat in the next section, network, I want to remove search terms and I want to remove display network. Display network, definitely, there is no value to be had with display network at all. If you want to run display campaigns, you should run them as separate display campaigns. And search partners, it's a bit of a nothing burger for me. I haven't really seen any pros about using search partners. So I would just go ahead and untick that one. The next thing I think you want to look at is location. So one of the first things you want to think about is your business, your leads. Is it people who are interested in that particular location, if it's location based, or is it people who have to be in that location at that particular time? So it's one for you to think about. You tend to narrow your reach a little bit more if it's just people targeting within that location. But if your business is a service-based business and it relies on people being in that specific location, that's something you may want to toggle on. The other thing I want to say here is you'll want to enter locations. If you're US-based, I would also recommend going with states. So even if you want to target the whole of the USA, I would go ahead and add in all of those states individually. You can always use advanced search and you can copy a list of states from the US, paste them all in there, then bang, it will all be in there. And it's pretty quick to do. And it also helps with sort of monitoring of results. And that way you can do a negative 100% bid modifier, which is the only bid modifier that works when you're using smart bidding, by the way. So ignore all the other people that say you can adjust bids, you can't, but you can do a negative 100%. So if a particular location is not working well, you can either remove it from the targeting or you can just bring the bids down 100% to remove it from there. Also, you want to select the appropriate language. So for me, English, whatever it is, wherever you are targeting, pick the correct language for you. Audience segments is also really important. I'm not going to dive into it now in too much detail, but what I would suggest is make sure this is observation mode here. Go ahead and add a bunch of audiences in here that you think are relevant to your business. So if you have a lawn mowing business, maybe people who are in market for lawn mowing services, I know that probably doesn't exist, but there or thereabouts, add in sort of closely related audiences. That way you can see how they perform against one another. Again, if you're manual bidding, you can use it to optimize for your bidding, but for most of us, it'd be more for observation purposes only. Next up, broad match keywords. Again, I would say no, switch this off unless you're going for a broad match campaign, but switch it off for now. as you need to be running sort of high intent keywords only and on exact match or phrase match only. Automatically created assets, again, I would switch that off by default. These can be a bit tricky in terms of the sort of content they pull from your website. So you need to use really specific landing pages if you want to work with this type of auto-generated asset creation. Finally, put in your start-stop dates, any scheduling you want. You know, if your phone calls are specifically important to you, only schedule your ads to be running in the time when you can answer your phone. Basic things like that. Hit next. Then you want to go here, you want to actually just paste in your list of keywords. Like here, these are the auto-generated ones for this account. For me, I would always go with exact match to start off with. If you don't want to do this manually, then you can go into the campaign after you've published it. You can select all and then you can just convert them into exact match, but the brackets around the outside will do the job as well. So I'm happy with those keywords. And like I said, I'm not going to put any ad copy in here because it's supposed to be a really quick campaign type, but you just want to go in and paste in all your ad copy that you should have pre-made in your Excel document. Paste it all in here, add images, add as many site extensions as possible and click done. And then hit next. Next up, it's going to be your budget. Google's always going to suggest the budget that you should be spending. I would suggest go with what you're comfortable with. And in this case, it is £1 a day, but set it based on what you're comfortable to run and what you're comfortable to run with for 30 days. So I don't want to see anyone running these campaigns for less than 30 days. If you only have a $500 budget, then split that out over 30 days and use that as your daily budget. I promise you, after 30 days, 95% of people who set these up correctly and do good keyword research will have conversions after 30 days, and they probably will be a decent cost per lead if you are offering strong enough incentives for them to give you their email. So basic lead capture form with an incentive, a free giveaway or something is what you should be looking at. After you set your daily budget, hit next again, and here you'll be brought to your whole campaign overview. Bear with me a second. It takes a little while sometimes. Double check through all of these things. Make sure they are correct, and only once you are sure, 100% sure, then you want to go ahead and hit publish for your campaign. Boom. And that's it. We are live. So now that we've covered off the best practice for campaign setup, let's move on to the sort of metrics that you should be tracking. When it comes to determining success, you will obviously want to monitor the basic and fundamental metrics such as your clicks, click-through rate, cost per click, conversions, cost per conversion, so on, the ones that everyone talks about basically. But over time, you'll want to adjust your campaign's keywords, ad copy, and you want to keep all of these sort of basic metrics moving in a positive direction. So we want to see cost per conversion coming down, cost per click up or down. Actually, I don't mind that, but I want to see click-through rates increase and conversions increase over time. But you'll also want to keep an eye on your impression share, your top impression share, and your absolute top impression share. So these are three really key metrics in my opinion, and they don't get the airtime they deserve. So we just jumped back into the demo account. I just want to show you how to add these columns really quickly, as it is super simple and straightforward. All you need to do is head up to columns, and then I want you just to go modify columns. And I want you to scroll down to the competitive metrics here. If you open that one up, you shall see search impression share at the top there. Give it a tick. Top impression share and absolute top impression share. There's a bunch of others we can talk about here. I will make another video on these because they are also important, but not as important as these three. So I've just got these three at the end here. So I'm just going to go and save and apply, replace. Search impression share. So the first one, this is the impressions that you've received on the whole search network divided by the estimated number of impressions that you were eligible to receive. So it's important to emphasize the eligible part. If your bids are too low, you'll be eligible for less impressions. So don't confuse sort of impression share with sort of total impression share available. I know it's a little confusing, but that's Google for you. If you want to know as well, like the official Google definition, you can kind of just like hover over these things here as well. But more importantly, we have also top impression share and absolute top impression share. So these are the two important ones that I want you to look at more so, especially if you're sort of a new account and you don't really have the kind of budget to compete and to really dominate from an impression share perspective. And top impression share is the impressions you've received in the top location on the search results page. The top location is anywhere ads appear above the organic search results. So in simple terms, this is usually the top 4 results. And absolute top impression share is the percentage of your search ad impressions that are shown in the most prominent search position. In other words, how often your ads are shown in the number 1 spot. And the question remains, why are these metrics important? Are they important? They are important, and they are important because of the user journey. Think about someone looking to get quotes for home insurance. It's super likely that they'll search home insurance quotes, and more often than not, they're just going to scroll straight away and click on one of the top 4 results that they see without hesitation, and to be honest, without really thinking about it that much. And that's because getting home insurance quotes just isn't fun. And most people will not want to dwell on the website looking only to get quotes from small businesses to help out their local community. It doesn't really work like that, I'm afraid. They'll want to click one of the first results they see and submit as few details as possible to get the information they need. So that's why it's so important to be in the top 4 results consistently. And I would actually go one further and say you want to be number 1. If you're the first result, it's likely you're the first business they've contacted, which means if your sales team is quick, you can be the first business to speak to them, which is a huge advantage in the competitive world we live in. But top of the page bidding does cost quite a lot more, and it may not be for you, but it's still worth tracking. And if you can, track in conjunction with the quality of the leads you've delivered. You'll probably find the higher ranking leads are of better quality and probably worth the extra cost in the long run. Ultimately, track that lead to sale, conversion result, and lifetime values. A great campaign with a well-optimized list of keywords and amazing ad copy is just one piece of the larger puzzle that we're looking at here. Lead generation campaigns encompass everything, not just the Google Ads campaign itself. And arguably, one of the most important parts of this particular puzzle is your landing page. I could, and probably will in the future, create a whole video on landing pages and best practices, as there is no one-size-fits-all approach. So to avoid dragging this video out any longer than it needs to be, I'm going to touch on a couple core principles that you should be thinking about. The first principle I apply with all of my clients, regardless of industry and campaign type, is test and learn. You should be testing different variations of the same landing page. Never assume you know what the user wants. Try presenting the existing information in a different order. Make your value proposition the first thing they see, or test your lead form performance above the fold versus below the fold. These are 3 super easy examples of an endless number of tests you could be running. So get creative and you'll get the edge over your competitors. The second is speed. Google loves speed. So make sure your website is responsive and quick. Site speed actually plays a major role in determining your Google Ads quality score. A fast landing page means a higher landing page experience score, which is one of the 3 core principles that determine your quality score. As I'm sure you know, a higher quality score means lower CPCs, which ultimately filter down to lower CPAs. There's a bunch of free tools available online that you can use to measure this. A quick Google search will bring up the Google Site Speed Tester. It will provide you a breakdown of your landing page performance and what you can do to improve it. It's a great tool and it's free, so there's no excuse to have a below par landing page. My last piece of advice I will share with you today is on smart bidding, and I think it's an absolutely great tool, and I think 80 to 90% of Google Ads users should be using it. But you need to have patience because it takes time to optimize and it needs significant volumes of data to really be effective. It's not a silver bullet on its own. So you'll want to give your campaign between 60 to 90 days. So consider that before setting your daily budget. And whatever you do, don't fiddle with it. Too often, I see people start with maximize conversions, then after a week, they switch to their TCPA, and then back to maximize conversions another week later, just because they're not getting the results they want. If you keep doing that, you'll never get the results you want, and you'll waste a lot of money in the process. Think in weeks and months instead of days. This should be your philosophy for any Google Ads campaign, especially when you're working with smart bidding as well. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have and you want to support us, then please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. This really is the best way to support us. So thank you in advance for doing that. We've also got a bunch of links in the description below. There's some free stuff and some paid stuff in there, so check those out. If you've got any questions as well, the easiest place to actually contact me directly is in our 84 Academy Discord. Again, it's completely free. But I also do try to respond to all of the comments below as well, so feel free to drop some comments down there as well. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.